Hello again, and welcome to this, the third in our free video training series. I'm Phil Bachman with ToSellYourBusiness.com, and once again, I want to thank you for joining us. You're going to find that there is a tremendous amount of information in this video. Chris is going to start with a short summary of the first two sessions, then he's going to introduce you to an additional very important element in your transformation. This next important element is value drivers. Maybe a new term for you, but by understanding value drivers, you can start focusing on those elements in your business that you can begin working on right now. This session is a real catalyst for causing you to do some serious examination of your business, to look at what you've got, to look at what you're doing, to ask yourself, am I heading in the best direction? And that's the real emphasis in this session. Your business's direction. Chris will present you with a series of steps of questions to ask yourself, which will allow you to begin to understand the direction that's best for you and for the business. He's going to bring together the concepts from our previous videos of exit channels and the different potential buyers in those channels, of the concept that you really are in control of the value of your business, of the idea that you really can affect your business's value, of the idea that different potential buyers equal different values for your business at the same point in time, of the concept that building your business to sell even if you're not planning on selling it right now. He brings this all together to get you ready to prepare you for the next steps in our transformation process for you. Now, this session will help you solidify the groundwork and the foundation that we've started with you, and it'll prepare you for a deep dive into learning and understanding how to increase your business's value and this whole process of realizing that value successfully when the time comes to realize a greater financial gain at your exit point. So tighten down your seatbelts and let's go join Chris in the studio.
Hi there, this is Chris Blees and I'm back with ToSellYourBusiness.com. The last video you may have seen, we talked about exit channels. What is an exit channel? An exit channel is the different types of buyers that might be interested in buying your business. We talked about what those exit channels mean, not in terms of just who might be buying your business, but the fact is that each of those exit channels represents different buyers, and each different buyer represents a different value. So if we add all that together, what it means is that by you choosing which exit channel you want to sell to, you're actually getting to choose what value you get for your business. Now, by explaining this concept, the next logical question then is, well, I need to understand what is it that these exit channels want from my business. And each exit channel wants something different, which is why they're willing to pay something different for your business. So the real question, once you get to understand this concept, is what is it that each exit channel wants from my business? And what I refer to these hot buttons or these desires that the exit channels have for your business, I call them value drivers. And these value drivers are very important to understand. There's a lot of value drivers in any business, but not every value driver is equal. Some value drivers are more important than others. And in particular, there are different value drivers for each exit channel. And so we'll talk about, in this video, we're going to talk about what are some of those value drivers, what are the exit channels interested in, and how do you identify which exit channel wants which value driver, and which value driver points you toward which exit channel. And that's what we're going to spend some time on. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a list of different value drivers and give you some ideas of what we're talking about, and you get the chance to see how in-depth these things can get and how hard it can be sometimes to choose which exit channel you want to go after. So let me build some of those value drivers on the board, and we'll come back and talk about them. All right, so value drivers. What are these things that are the hot buttons for each exit channel? Well, I've made a list of different value drivers here. And this is not intended to be an all-inclusive list, but it is to give you an idea of what I mean when I say value drivers. Geographic location, vendor relationships, customers, your management strength, your R&D, your product designs, you can see that these are the kinds of things that drive value in a business. So the question is, which of one of these things do you do best in your business? What are the value drivers for your business? Well, you might be really proud of a couple of these things. You might say, wow, we've got great customer relationships that none of our competitors and even the big companies can't get into some of the customers that we have. Or you might say, we've built up an employee set of skills and technology that the big companies and our competitors can't get after. Or maybe it's the locations you've identified, and you've got some key locations, and you're in some unique geographic locations that everyone else would love to be in, but only you've been able to figure out how to do business in those areas. Whatever it is that's making your business successful today, those are the hot buttons for you. But the question is, do those hot buttons translate to the value drivers for the exit channel that you want to choose? Is there a competitor out there that wants the same thing that you want? Is there a private equity firm that wants to buy those things and is interested in the same things you've built? For you, they might be very important. For someone else, maybe they don't care. And on the flip side, maybe you don't care about some of these things, but maybe the buyer for your business really wants something from this list, but you don't have it yet. So it's really important that you understand, first of all, what it is you've built, what it is that's valuable, what's unique, what are those unique value propositions for your business. But then it's also important to understand what are the value drivers that those exit channels want so that you can match the two. And when you match the two, now you've got the best value. Now you're matching what you've built with what the exit channel wants. Bang. You've just now got a successful sale transaction. So that's the next step. Is what we're going to talk about is how do you go about evaluating what it is you've built and trying to figure out if there's someone that wants to buy it, or do you want to do it in reverse? Do you want to figure out what it is that someone wants, and then you go and spend the time to try to build it? So let me talk to you next about what the difference is between a planned approach versus an immediate approach to selling your company. If you want to sell your business immediately, you might need to do this in reverse. You may need to just take these things forward, scratch that. If you want to do this, if you want to do these things in immediate order, in other words, you want to sell your business right away, you might have to take what you've built and go find someone that wants to buy that. But if you've got more time and you've got the time to plan and you've got a couple years before you want to sell your business, what you might want to do is you might want to do it in reverse. You might want to first find out what the market wants, then go spend some time to work on these value drivers that are important to your buyer. And then what you can do is you'll end up approaching the market already handing them exactly what they want to buy from you. And then that's when that power and that value can really be accentuated. So let me show you about these two different approaches. I'm going to put up a diagram that shows you how that looks. Okay, so that diagram that I showed you basically says this in these two different methods. So there's two different approaches, one which I call the immediate sale approach and one which is more of a planned approach. So that immediate approach says, what do I do if I want to sell now? Well, this is what a good investment banker or a business broker should be doing when they work with you. What they should be doing is they should be taking this approach, which is they should try and figure out what is it that you've built. Which of these value drivers that we talked about earlier, which of these value drivers have you already built? What are you already doing well? What is it that's already getting attraction and making your business successful? We go out there and we then try and figure out which buyers out there care. Who cares? Who is it that matches up well with that? What is it that when we find that a buyer wants what you've already built, then that's how we generate the best value. We match up the buyers that already want what you've already built, and that's the best value. But what if you have some time? What if you have some time to figure out what those buyers want? Then what we do is we reverse this process. We essentially establish best value and we start with what is it you should build. If we can match up what you should build with what those buyers want, that's how we can build best value. So we essentially reverse engineer the process. But both of these, you can see, starts with this concept of what is it that buyers want. Well, that really becomes the most important part of the process. It's understanding what it is that those buyers want. It's understanding what the buyers want in the exit channel that you want to go after. So what we really need to do is we need to explore these exit channels, and we need to look into each of these exit channels and find out what is it the buyers want in the exit channel that you think you want to go after. And when we spend some time doing that, you can either eliminate certain exit channels or you can go after certain exit channels more specifically. If you have time, you can then specifically go after those exit channels and work on your business to improve those things. If you don't have time, you want to try and figure out which exit channel already matches up well with what you have already built. Then you just have to take the process from there, and you have to go and present well, attract those buyers, and you've now built your marketplace. So I'm going to go through a step-by-step process of what that looks like. Come back in a second. I'm going to put some steps up here that we're going to talk through and get you ready to really sell your business. Okay, so we've talked about how you're going to figure out if you want to go forward direction or reverse direction. And what I mean by that is, are you going to be ready to sell immediately, or do you need some time to plan? Well, in either of those directions, we talked about in that diagram, the middle of that diagram is who wants to buy, and what exit channel are you going to go after, and what are they interested in. So let me show you how the steps go and how the first few steps of this process is the same whether you're ready to sell today or whether you're ready to sell in 5 years from now. So let me walk through the steps. So step number one, and this is going to be true, and we're going to work these steps no matter whether we're going after strategic buyers, financial buyers, related buyers. In fact, you could even narrow this down more specifically if you really know a couple different strategic buyers, for example. Maybe you've got a couple competitors and you've even got some suppliers in your industry, and both of them might be interested. And we're still not going after individual named buyers here. We're still just talking in terms of exit channels. But even these channels can be divvied up. And if you remember that, going back to the first video, we talk about how we've got different strategic buyers, we've got different types of hybrid buyers, and so on. So these steps apply to each and every one of these channels. So the first question you have to ask yourself is do I really want this exit channel? And what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is each and every one of these exit channels have pros and cons. So let's use some examples. A lot of strategic buyers, well, they'll immediately tell you, they don't want your whole business. They just want a very strategic part of your business. They want your products, or they want your geographic location, or they're really excited about some of the customers you've developed. So they're probably not going to be very excited about your management team. Maybe they don't care so much about the other products and services that some of your employees have developed, or maybe they don't care as much about your employees. So there's pros and cons. The strategic buyers might be very excited, might mean great things for your business, for your products, but it might not mean great things for some of your customers. It might not mean great things for some of your employees. So you've got to ask yourself, and deep in your heart, are you really excited about going after that particular exit channel? So the first question again is this the right exit channel for you? And this isn't just a financial decision. You've really got to mean it in your heart. You've got to look at yourself and say, is this really what I want for my business? I've worked so many years to create this company. Do I want to watch it get into the hands of my competitor that I really don't think is going to do the right thing? And so I know of many business owners that have made that decision. I've got a client right now that I'm working with that has told me, I don't care if it's the right thing, if it means the most money for my business, if that buyer is going to take my product and start manufacturing it overseas, then I don't want to sell. I want my product made in America, even after I'm no longer the owner. So those kinds of decisions you need to make clear, and you need to make sure that you understand the exit channel you're going after. And it might not always be the right personal decision, even if it's the right financial decision. So that's the first question. Step two, are there actually buyers in this exit channel for your business? And again, let me give some examples. We talked about financial buyers in a previous video. Those financial buyers a lot of times represent private equity groups. Now there's other financial buyers as well. We talked about replacement owners. But let's talk about the private equity group for a minute. Not every business is necessarily going to be a target for a private equity group. I'll use an example. If I were operating a flower shop, let's say in the Seattle area, okay, a single flower shop in the Seattle area, I can guarantee you there's not going to be a private equity group that's very excited about a single flower shop in the Seattle area. I'm sorry, it's just not a reality. There aren't buyers in that exit channel for you. However, let's say you owned 30 flower shops in the Northwest, ranging from Portland all the way to Vancouver. And you dominated the market up there, and you controlled the market, and you had distribution channels, and you had home delivery, and you had warehouses, and you had drivers, and you had management teams all over a 30-store network of flower shops. Now I bet you there's a private equity group that takes a look at that and says, we could be interested in that flower shop. So there's a difference between size sometimes it's scalability, sometimes it's the marketplace, sometimes it's your industry. These are all factors that will tell you whether you have buyers in every exit channel. Now almost every business in any industry has competitors, and they have upstream and downstream strategic buyers, meaning suppliers and customers. So those strategic buyers might exist no matter how big or small you are. So that's probably an exit channel, and maybe variations of that exit channel you've got buyers in. A lot of people have related buyers. They've got management teams, they've got employees, they've got kids, they've got relatives, they've got other partners. So a lot of people have those. But if you don't have any of those, if you have no management team that's really got any strength, you don't have kids that want to take over the business, maybe the related buyers don't exist in that exit channel for you. But again, these are things you have to figure out before you decide which exit channel you're going after. So again, are there buyers for my business? Maybe. Let's figure out which channels there are actually buyers for. All right, step 3. What do buyers want from your exit channel? Now this is the critical question. This is that middle question that we asked, whether we're doing this immediately or whether we are reverse engineering the process. So if you're going to go after buyers in an exit channel, you want to know what is it they want from you. Back to these value drivers. Which of these value drivers are going to be critical in that exit channel that we're picking? So we've got to look at that and say, they want my customers, or these guys are really after my employees. So let's play a little scenario through here. Let's say that we're exploring a strategic buyer and we're looking at this and we say, you know, these strategic buyers, they really like my customers. They really like the fact that the strategic buyers in this particular exit channel, what they are after right now is they want access to new customers. They've built out a lot of customers in other areas, but they haven't been able to go after the kinds of customers that I've developed. So customers are maybe a real key piece to that exit channel that you're going after. The other thing that they may say is, you know, what we really also want is we want revenue size. So not only do we want some new customers, but we want to get some volume here. We don't want to be adding just $500,000 of new revenue. We want to be adding $10, $20 million of new revenue all at once. So we want new customers, we want a lot of size, and you know, maybe there's one or more of these value drivers, but let's just pick on those two for a minute. Okay, so now we get to critical step number 4. Critical step number 4 is we identify what the value drivers are that they want in this exit channel. The key here is, have you built it or can you build it? And this gets to that moment of truth for you to decide, are you ready to sell now or are you going to sell later? The question there comes back to, we know what value drivers exist, we know what that channel wants. The question is, have you built it or can you build it? If you've already built it, if you've got the kind of resources and you've got these value drivers that particular exit channel absolutely wants right now, then you're ready to sell. And so now it's a matter of moving on to the next step. If you haven't, well then it's time to hit the pause button. So we hit the pause button, we go back, we address these value drivers, and we say, all right, we need solid customers and we need a lot more of them, or we need bigger contracts. That's what that exit channel is after, and that's the exit channel you want to sell into. Then that's the decision you need to make. You need to say, all right, it's time to go out and let's work on our business and let's work on these 2 factors. Let's not worry about our employee skills right now. Let's not worry too much about our management strength. Let's focus exactly on what that exit channel wants. And let's execute, and let's come back maybe in a year, maybe 2, maybe 5, whatever it's going to take to build the size and those customers or whatever those combinations of value drivers are, and then we'll go back to that exit channel. Okay, but let's assume you are there. Let's assume you figured that out. And you figured out what it is, and you've got it, and you match up well. Now the next step then is, how do you present well into that exit channel? Well, what do I mean by present? Well, presentation is more than just having those skills. So let's say, again, let's change our mind up a little bit here. Let's say in addition to this, you've got some research and development skills. And that's some of the value drivers that your exit channel is really after. They love the fact that you've got this R&D department, that you've got constantly new products coming off the line, that you've invented things that they just frankly can't invent. That exit channel is really after your product design. Well, how do you present that? It's one thing to show a nice new product and say, look at this great product we created. And the fact is yes, the market's buying it. But if they're really after the fact that you've got research and development skills and that your company can actually innovate, well, that's great. But if you don't have the documentation behind that, if you can't show a process behind that, if you can't show that you've captured those R&D skills in the form of patents and copyrights and the like, if you don't have product design backing that up, well, then maybe that product design and that R&D skills, you may have them, but you can't present them well. So the presentation of all of this is another key element. Even back to revenue size and customers. Well, of course, revenue size, you say, well, how hard is that? I just show them my income statement. It says revenue across the top. Isn't that all the presentation I need? Well, no, not necessarily. You're going to need to be able to show that you've got contracts in place. And next thing you know, the buyer's going to say, well, let me take a look at those contracts. And have you really evaluated those contracts? Are they the kind of contracts that this exit channel, that these other competitors or other vendors in the marketplace are going to want to take over? Or you've got provisions in those things that are really a little frightening. So these are the kinds of things that you need to do to prepare to present yourself for sale. So this presentation for sale doesn't necessarily just start a couple weeks before you're ready to go to market. Some of this presentation could start even years in advance. Another great example is financial statement preparation. A lot of buyers are out looking for companies that have audited financial statements. Well, you don't just get an audited financial statement done overnight. So you might have to plan ahead, get your CPA engaged years in advance, get a track record of those audits done. So those are the kinds of things that you need to get ready in step number 5. Then we get to step number 6. So you're now ready. You've got an exit channel you've identified. You know that your skills and your value drivers match up to what their desires are. You've got a presentation and you know that you can present well. You know you've got the right skill sets to be able to show those buyers what you're after. And now the last step, how do you actually go out and find them? What do you do to actually find these buyers? And we'll get into a whole lot more of that. And then there's a whole lot more even beyond this. What do you actually do to negotiate the transaction? How do you get through the due diligence phase? How do you make tax decisions in the sale process? How do you create an auction environment so that you get the bidding process going and actually drive value? How do you get to the closing table and actually get the documentation done so that the deal doesn't fall apart at the 11th hour? These are all questions that we'll answer in a much more expanded course. But for now, this has given you a good sense of what you need to do to prepare to get ready to sell your business.
Well, needless to say, we've certainly thrown a lot at you in these first 3 videos. Our goal has been to help make you aware that there's a lot to this process. You can incorporate all of this into your business direction so you can achieve your exit strategy goals whenever you're ready. Now, as Chris was finishing up, he started brainstorming a little bit on some additional subjects yet to be covered, such as negotiating, due diligence, a major area to get up to speed on. There's a lot to consider and have prepared to get through this due deal process smoothly. Making tax decisions before and during the process. This is an area to carefully plan. Creating an auction environment for the sale of your business. Building up the bidding process between potential buyers, documents that you'll be seeing in the sale process, getting to the closing table and holding the deal together. As a sideline, I have a friend of some 30 years who I used to work for. He has a fascinating story about negotiating and at the closing table when he sold his business, very successfully I might add, in the 8-figure range. I recently met with him and he'll be one of our first subjects in our Business Owners Interview Series. All of these areas and many more topics are going to be the focus of a deep dive course, into examining them completely and thoroughly. And you know what? All of you can help. I know by now you have thoughts, comments. The brain has started cooking on all this, and maybe some questions. Take a few minutes to jot them down below and send them to us. Go back over these first 3 videos and jot down thoughts as you go through them and send them to us. I guarantee that we are reading every one of them, and we've already gotten some additional ideas that we can develop, and they're all coming from you. All of these topics and more are what Chris made reference to when he mentioned our much more expanded course. It's called ToSellYourBusiness.com. I promise you, we've invested literally hundreds of hours into developing and producing this program. It's based on in-the-trenches, real-world experience. So we can offer you the most absolute, the most complete, the most comprehensive source for accurate and usable information for you, the business owner. All of this material is to help you become more proactive in controlling and directing your successful exit strategy whenever it comes. I look forward to expanding on all of this in our next video. Remember, please write down your thoughts and comments below and send them to us. I'm Phil Bachman. Thanks, and Chris and I will see you in the next video in a couple of days.